Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. Before we dive into this week's report, just want to touch base on a few things. If you guys use any of the resorts or guides mentioned in today's report, please let them know you saw them on Livin MN Outdoors. Also, last week we showed you guys our performance long sleeve fishing shirts. If you still want one of those, we do have some left. Some of our sizes are getting limited, so if you want to place an order, send us an email or message us on Facebook as soon as possible and we will get one shipped out right away. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this week's report. Alright, we're going to start out up on Leech Lake. Fishing opener last week. The morning bite and the evening bite was really good. The midday bite, it was a little bit of a struggle. You could find some fish, but those prime time bites in the morning and in the evening were the ticket. Now, as far as where to find those fish, 5 to 12 feet of water. If you can find some of those weeds starting to grow, that is a good place to look. Also, some sand to gravel transitions, wind-blown shorelines, shallow break lines. Those are where most of those walleyes are holding up right now. Now, how to catch those walleyes. The best method right now has been either pitching a jig or trolling a jig tipped with a rainbow or a shiner. Some people have got some using a slip bobber and a leech, but they are preferring minnows and a jig at this time. Now, when pitching or trolling those jigs, with how clear the water is out there on Leech Lake, it is very important to make a long cast or troll that jig well beyond the boat. The further you can get away from the boat, the better off your chances of catching those fish will be. Now, as far as a jig, anywhere from a 1/16 to a 1/4 ounce jig, green, gold, pink, those have worked good. But they will hit other colors as well. Now, smallmouth bass. The bass are in transition right now. They are coming up and out of the depths. They're starting to stage. Not a ton of them are up in shallow yet on the spawning grounds, but they're staged right outside of there. The best way to catch those smallmouth on Leech right now is with a black or white hair jig. You can also throw a deep diving jerk bait or possibly a Ned rig if that is how you would like to fish them. Now, look for those fish in that 10 to 16 feet range on rocks. They're going to hold up there, but with the nice weather we've been having and the water temps rising, those fish will start to pull up into the shallows here pretty quickly. Now, mentioning water temp, up on Leech right now, the water temp is in the upper 50s to low 60s. Now, this coming week, we do have a cold front coming in. We're going to have a little bit of rain. That could slow things down a little bit, but I still suspect that the fishing is going to be really good. Now, as far as panfish, the panfish are on the move. They're headed up to their spawning grounds. They're not fully committed up into the spawning grounds yet, but the crappies and bluegills are starting to be seen up in the shallows. So in the next week or two, that will be going in. What a blast it is to get on those trophy panfish on Leech Lake. Now, if you guys are looking to book a guide for Leech Lake, we highly recommend the guys from Leech Lake Guide Team LLC. They do have openings still in May here, so go ahead, look them up online, Facebook, give them a call. However you need to get in contact with them, we have all of their stuff linked down in the description, so get a hold of them and get a trip booked as soon as you can. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Leech Lake, Horseshoe Bay Lodge is a beautiful resort. They got a full bar and restaurant. They got either cabins or hotel rooms. He did tell me they have some rooms left for Memorial Weekend, so go ahead, get that trip booked, and enjoy some time up on beautiful Leech Lake. Now, moving over to Lake Winnie. Last weekend opener, the bite was really good for walleye, perch, and pike. They found most of their fish holding in 10 to 16 feet of water. If you could find weeds, that's where a lot of the fish were. Otherwise, the shallower side of steeper breaks in that depth range held fish as well. Now, as far as where on the lake they were finding the fish, the north side, the south side, the east side, the west side, everybody was catching fish out there. The morning bite was by far the best. People did pick some up through the day, and then in the evening that bite picked back up again. Now, as far as how they were catching the fish and what worked best, a 1/16 to a 1/8 ounce jig tipped with a shiner or a fathead. As far as colors go, blue and white, pink and white, green and white, those were some of the better colors that they were caught on this past weekend. Now, the perch bite out there was also really strong. Some of those perch still have not spawned, although I suspect that this week they finished up spawning. But opening weekend, a lot of really nice perch were caught, and they were still full of eggs. Now, they found those mixed in with the walleyes in that 10 to 16 feet of water, as well as some really nice pike mixed in as well. Now, if you want to target just pike specifically, troll a big crankbait, a spinner bait, big spoons, you'll pick up a ton of pike that way. Now, as far as the panfish out on Lake Winnie, those are starting to move up into the shallows, shallow weed edges. Typically where you find the pencil reeds, that's where those fish are heading right now. The water is warming up. It's in the high 50s to low 60s, and things are progressing really nicely. Now, if you're looking to book a guide trip up on Lake Winnie, we highly recommend Scott from zupsguideservice, one of the premier walleye guides on Lake Winnie. Now, he doesn't have a ton of availability, but the dates that he does have available are May 25th and 26th, June 4th through the 8th, and June 23rd through the 25th. So if any of those dates fit your vacation plans, go ahead, give Scott a call and book a guide trip up on Lake Winnie. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up there, we highly recommend the Pines Resort. The restaurant and bar is open. They have live bait. Chad told me today that they're getting in a shipment of shiners. They'll have fatheads, night crawlers, everything you might need there. On Wednesdays, they are doing Wing Wednesdays. So if you love chicken wings, make sure you stop in there on a Wednesday. Now, if you're looking for a cabin up there, Chad told me they do have a cabin available May 21st through the 26th. So if any of those dates there work for you, go ahead, give Chad a call and get that trip booked as soon as possible. Now, also, if you want to rent a pontoon or a fishing boat out on Winnie, the Pines Resort, they offer those as well. You need to call ahead, make a reservation for them, because they do rent out fairly quickly. So go ahead and give Chad a call. All right, now moving over to Mille Lacs Lake. We spent opener up there this past weekend. We struggled a little bit starting off, but found where the fish were hanging out not too far into the day. Now, most of the walleyes right now, they are holed up in 8 to 14 feet of water. That doesn't mean there isn't any shallower, and that doesn't mean there isn't some deeper, but the majority of the fish are in that 8 to 14 feet. Where we found them was on Big Point on the east side of the lake. They were up on the rocks. I heard a lot of people that fish the rocks did very well as on the north side on the first break. We tried trolling jigs and a minnow. We struggled with that. The best way we found to catch those fish was with a slip bobber and a leech. Some people also had success casting jigs and plastics as well. Now, there was a huge range of size of walleyes being caught. We saw them anywhere from 13, 14 inches up to 25, 26 inches, and even a few keepers mixed in there as well. Now, the smallmouth bite out on Mille Lacs Lake. The smallmouth have moved up out of the deep water. People have been seeing them up in the shallows. I think it is primarily just the males up there right now, but I don't think the females are far behind. If you're going to target smallmouth bass this coming weekend, I would recommend probably that 10 to 16 feet of water. Throw a black hair jig, a purple or pink jerk bait, or possibly even a Ned rig if you can. Now, the key to the smallmouth right now is work your baits extremely slow, because they are still pretty lethargic and they're not wanting to chase anything that's moving real fast. Now, if you are looking for a guide or a place to stay up on Mille Lacs Lake, we highly recommend Castles Resort. They can hook you up with a guide, or if you want to fish on their launch, they will be running their launch service from 8 a.m. to noon and 5 p.m. to 9, both Saturday and Sunday. You do need to call ahead or message them on Facebook to reserve your seat. Now, if you're looking for a cabin, they did just have a cabin come available for this coming weekend. They do have some other openings in May as well. So go ahead, give them a call, get a cabin booked, and enjoy some time on Isle Bay on Mille Lacs Lake. Now, if you're staying with Castles Resort, they do have dock slips that you can park your boat at. They have live bait. They can give you instructions on where to find fish. They'll set you up for success. Overall, a phenomenal place to stay. So if you're looking to get up to Mille Lacs Lake this coming weekend, go ahead and give Jeff a call from Castles Resort. Well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report, guys. I do want to remind you, be kind at the boat ramp. Be respectful of other fishermen. If you see somebody struggling, go offer them some help. Don't sit there honking at them, cussing them out. That does nobody any good. We all learned at some point, and maybe it's this person's first time. Another thing, make sure when you're moving in your boat, you're wearing a life jacket. Let's make life jackets cool again. There is nothing wrong with wearing a life jacket, and don't let anyone tell you that there is. So we hope you guys make it out fishing this weekend. We'll be up on Leech, so maybe we'll see some of you up there. But if not, don't forget to get on out there and get living.